Just
look at
talking
anything.
All right, Margot, I'm looking at you at the screen up here, see it?
Need a haircut.
She's like,
You sure look good.
looking presentable.
You are looking good.
Oh, my goodness.
What happened?
We're going live.
Oh,
Oh, that, look, we're right. Look,
It's hard to see everybody with masks, you know? Yeah, right, me too.
I know.
Yes, we're over.
No.
This is your camera, right? Yes, I think I can move it, but I think you'll be fine.
make sure you get your good side.
Yeah, see, this is.
Minutes, it's a set of minutes. So get passed around.
And I mean, they're going to move a lot of them to flatten this out. Okay.
It's their art, not mine.
It's there, that's it. But I have no problem with them putting it. I read them, sir. I'm good. I'm good. Do you need to? You weren't at it. So you, doesn't, well, you said
I'll follow along. If I read it, it will be here until 12 o'clock. I could sit over there. Oh, it's fine.
Hi, Doug.
Easily. Whatever you guys want to do.
I'm muted. Hi.
That's okay.
Scott, is this your jacket?
That's my jacket. You can throw that over on the rocking chair or whatever.
Sure.
That's grand.
But on Harry, he looks cold over there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost your connection, babe.
Oh, geez. Right, we're back.
Wait, did it just get?
Slide down and we put Amanda down on there. She's got one, so. Do we
Oh,
need a chair for
physically,
her?
yes.
Yeah, here,
Yeah, I'll
here,
just
Doc, we'll
physically-
slide that way. Just next to her.
I can just.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Come here, baby.
No, we don't want them to see the back here. They
Yeah,
wanna
you're-
see-
'cause
They
it's
want
on-
to see, they want to see their money maker.
It's still going on this.
Oh,
Just
okay.
for some reason, it's not displayed.
Yeah, then you can- you Just slid down one, easy one. As long as you.
Yeah, it's still on. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can get it back.
We're all here. present.
Six.
Which is fine.
It's still on my.
Broadcasting,
The
so,
only way to be able to do it would be
so-
like restart everything. I
Yeah.
don't think we want to do that.
yeah, so that means you still all have to behave.
I did that once.
Yeah, I know that it's not as much fun, but I would welcome everybody to, I think we're at 7:30 to this is January, right?
Yeah.
The January 2022 zoning board of appeals meeting. Because I don't want to embarrass myself and look at my good friends and then go, I'm just going to ask everybody to introduce themselves around the table here. I'm Scott Chase. I'm the chairman of the zoning board of appeals,
All right, Mike O'Neill.
member.
member of
Amanda's
the
there.
board.
Marie Stewart.
Carl Baden.
Cheers to the vine.
Okay.
And I'm here, Martha Duncan.
Actually,
Oh,
we,
and Margot.
Margot's with us.
that's right. And Margot is with us via Zoom. Sorry, Margot, we lost your picture on our giant TV screen.
Hmm. Oh, great. I can see myself, but you can't see me.
Exactly.
Yeah, now you can, actually, I would hope that the applicant would be here, but maybe it's not crazy important.
Yeah.
Oh, she is on Zoom.
Yeah,
Oh,
she said
okay.
she was gonna Zoom, yeah.
So we have, our first item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing on the Fremar application. And, we did so I would say that the notice went in the paper, and the secretary will also confirm that the notices to the surrounding property owners went out. And so with that, I would open the public meeting. We have 3 other folks in the room besides the board. I don't know if there is anyone who wanted to, the application was available for review. I think that these folks are for another application, but I would still ask if anybody has any comments that they wanted to make on the Fremar application. And Leanne, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
You are, thank you.
Okay. I don't know if let's see, if there's any, I don't know if the board has any comments that they wanted to put on the record, other than I would say that I believe that all the board members went out on the site inspection this afternoon. Was a beautiful piece of property that you have, Leanne.
Thank you.
And I think that you'll hear from our discussion that most of the people understood your issue. So based upon the fact that I'm not hearing anyone else, I would have, sorry, made and seconded is aye. Are there any opposed? I hear none. So based upon what I saw,
Was there any written comments? Did anybody submit anything in writing?
any written comments or anything?
Is Drew here? Is he on Zoom? Okay, just making sure, because I knew he needed to be a part.
Oh, so Drew, I would ask if you had any specific things. Geez, I wish that.
We gotta know.
Actually, I'm sorry, you told me that you weren't going to be here, Margot, and I wasn't smart enough to process in my brain. You know, I've done my my typical draft, trying to put down ideas for folks to shoot at towards the doing the resolution, and maybe the best I can do for you. Again, if I had been smart, I would have sent you an electronic copy, but I did not. So we're just going to have to read through this and listen, and hopefully you can make comments as we go through. And I'll, again, typically, by the same token, ask all the board members that are sitting here to comment too. And so this is a pretty typical resolution, which it appeared that we were moving toward approval, so it's sort of slanted that way, but of course we let the board give their comments. Maybe before we go through that, what did people think they saw out there?
Yard was not necessarily what we thought. Get involved with any discussion. It looked like a good proposal.
Yeah, as long as her neighbors that share the road with her, we could impose any objections.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a community development. Each parcel was big enough and
Yeah, with more than a mile between
Isolated.
those neighbors, she
Yeah.
said, so.
Yeah, well, and so what got me was that, again, this is on kind of a private drive road, a very small little 1-lane dirt road that is private. It's at least 600 feet from the public highway. They are completely out of sight of the public highway in a highly wooded area. It's kind of a flag lot, so you know, the zoning regulations are sort of more or less, you can't take into consideration every circumstance, and that's why the Zoning Board of Appeals exists. And in this case, this lot just does not kind of fit the typical. It's again, a large lot, very remote from the public highway and any public viewing of it. And so just the way that the flag lot is configured, the Drew has to choose what a front yard is, and you normally choose the road or the side towards the road. And so where they are proposing to do their improvements ends up being classified as a front yard. And Drew, just make sure that I'm correct on this. When I looked at the regulations, it looked like this is in the rural district, from what I could see. And I believe that the required minimum front yard is 75 feet. Is that?
That's correct.
All right. And so they were looking for, and again, Leanne, I asked you to correct me. I'm sort of taking this through, or your architect or whoever you have. But it appeared to me that a couple of the one or two of the structures there is a garage, gym building, and then the tennis court. And one of them will be, I think it says on your plan, 19 feet and 9 inches. And so if we said, so that would say to me that we should be looking at granting a variance that would allow you to build within, I always like to give a little range of error. So I would say no closer than 19 feet to the front yard. And that should give you a little bit of leeway, if that sounds okay. And Drew, if you think that that will meet your needs.
Absolutely. It makes it easier in some sense.
Yeah,
All right.
that works for us. Thank you.
So I think that, again, let me read through this again. It's a little bit more awkward in that you can't read along with me. Again, I should have thought more about that. There would be people on Zoom, including, I didn't anticipate that you would not be here in person, Lee, and I should have.
I'm sorry. I think I must have misunderstood. I thought the meeting was to be on Zoom. Otherwise, I certainly would have driven down from the house
Sure.
to be
Okay.
there. Then.
All right, but here goes, and I think that you'll be relatively happy with what we have here. So let's just go on through this. So whereas the Town of Pine Plains Zoning Board of Appeals is in receipt of an area variance application from Leanne Fremar for property located at the address of 381 Skunks Misery Road, Town of Pine Plains, Dutchess County, and then we'll add the proper tax ID number, to allow the construction of a garage/gym and tennis court, including a 10-foot high fence with less than the required minimum 75-foot front yard. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals has reviewed the subject variance request, and I believe the number will be number 1 of 2022, submitted by Ms. Fremar, and whereas after review of the application, including review of the town habitat map, a site inspection, a legally noticed public hearing held on January 25th, 2022, with, at this point, we would say no neighbors expressing concern. And whereas the action is exempt from referral to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, and whereas the proposed action is a type 2 action under seeker and by law is not considered to have a significant impact on the environment, and no further environmental review is required. And whereas the existing home is on a flag lot off a private road/driveway in a cluster of lots where existing homes are remote from the public highway and barely visible from the public highway. Whereas the existing home is over 600 feet from the public highway and in a heavily wooded area and hence not visible. And whereas the proposed location for the garage will be optimally served by the existing driveway and with less disturbance of the lot, scenic views, and vegetation. I don't know, I might need to add a phrase there, using the proposed location, I guess, at the end of that. Well, maybe it's in there. No, I guess I guess it's okay the way that it is. Whereas the board finds that maintaining the 75-foot front yard would require a removal of more trees and vegetation and potentially block scenic views from the existing home, potentially decreasing the property value. And whereas the variance requested is not subject I don't like this. This doesn't sound good. So I don't help me with this sentence, folks. The variance requested is not of an, whereas the variance requested is not of a nature considered substantial for
To the character of the
character of the neighborhood because of the remote location of the proposed improvements over 600 feet from the public highway. And whereas the lot was previously existing prior to zoning and the decrease in the front yard setback will not adversely affect the character nor be a detriment to the neighborhood. And whereas this lot was created and the home built prior to the adoption of the zoning law, and hence any hardship was not self-created, and now therefore be it resolved that based upon the preceding findings, the zoning board of appeals of the town of Pine Plains hereby, it sounds like it's going to be a grant, grants the application for a variance to the requirements found in the schedule of bulk regulations, table B, allowing the proposed garage/gym and tennis court to be installed with a front yard setback of not less than 20 or 19 feet, 19 feet. From the Skunks Misery Road front property line, which I guess would be the east. I would add in there, it's the east property line.
Yeah.
With the following conditions, and I don't know if we need to have that, I didn't have any conditions that I was proposing. So then that with the following conditions could be removed. And I know that Margot, you're at a real disadvantage because you just had to listen to me roughly go through that and you're not looking at it, but
I can hear it, thanks.
I asked the other board members if they had any other things that they saw or were wanting to do or not do.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Well, then hearing none, is there someone who would be willing to move this resolution?
So made.
All right, so that's Marie and Amanda. Are there any further comments or discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? I hear none. So I think, Leanne, you're good. The only thing you have to do is give your husband my phone number because I'm always looking for a tennis partner.
He's gonna fill your dance card, that is for sure, so.
Drew, is there anything more that you think you need from us?
Oh, no, not from the board. Just have the applicant contact me and we can begin the permit process.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, I think we're good.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for coming out today. It was nice to meet everyone, and thankfully the sun stayed shining so everyone could see the view.
nice sunset. Beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, a beautiful piece of property. It was fun to go see it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Amazing. There's a lot.
Really special.
You only see the driveway.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, take care. So the next item would be the application by Neil and Quaysbar for, and I know that their architect Frank is here, and if somebody would take us through your application again. Our purpose this evening with your application will be just to make sure that we feel it's complete, that we have enough information to kind of evaluate it, and we will then set a site visit and a public hearing, more than likely on the 4th Tuesday of February. And then we'll go through just what you just saw. We will hold the You'll pay your fees. The clerk will notify your neighbors within, I don't know how many feet it is. And then we will hold the public hearing. If folks come with concerns, we will listen to those and we'll express our own concerns, and hopefully all goes as smoothly as this, where on the same night, we also go through a draft resolution and do our best to make sure the town's protected and that hopefully we can accommodate your needs too.
It's that,
So- Plans on the table works.
Yep.
That's the virgin. And that's the Y. Yeah. This is the Y. This is the virgin. Coming up here, you go left to go to town.
I'm trying to think, you earlier sent plans, right?
Yeah, but I needed this. I needed.
Yeah,
I know.
And so,
That's, they don't.
so Margot, you have something to look at, right? Somewhere there's a file on your computer that we sent to you?
Yes, thanks, Scott. I do.
Where's a good place for me?
Well, there's the camera, and so,
Yeah.
It's kind of in the corner here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of it.
So maybe just a general overview, and then you can be more specific.
So. Yeah, so we're here with the Elise Quaid-Barth and Stephen Neal. We are owners of this property located on at 342 Mount Ross Road, just south of the intersection with Jackson Corners Road. The first sheet of the 8.5 by 11s that I gave to you show that the lot is actually composed of two parcels. There's an existing house, small house on a 1.25 acre parcel. And then on the northern portion is this beautiful field and a beautiful view shed, which the owners purchased at a later date. They've been living in the existing house for about 30 years. It's a mid 1900s structure. Mid 19th century, sorry. And so the photographs show starting with that beautiful field to the north and the area where we're going to require or request the variance for the garage.
But is this the house we're looking at, that we're talking at, that they live in?
Yes.
Okay, so now that I know that's the house, I'm good. All right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as an overview, so the owners would like to build an addition to their home. This historic structure, what they're interested in preserving. They'd like to add a about 1,800 square foot addition to that home.
Right across from Buddy.
They want to do something
Exactly. Yeah.
that's
Like
very,
I said, and once you said that, I knew exactly where it was.
so they wish at least
No,
this
fine,
historic
fine,
preservation.
inside the line.
I thought Lloyd Bales on it,
Yeah.
doesn't vote.
So they are interested in doing something that is, it's a very small house, so it is somewhat of a challenge. Doing something, once you put in a dining room and a kitchen and a bedroom, it's already larger than the house sometimes. So it's kind of challenging in that sense, but in deference to that existing house, what they've decided to do is to locate the addition behind the house. And that also allows it has a slight, so the topography steps up about between 3 and 4 feet in the location of the addition. And it goes out to about 5 or 6 feet as you're going further out. So we are going to put it about 3 feet above the level of the addition. Otherwise, we'd be
So
into
it's
the
like a
ground. And that would
312
give it
pitch.
a greater kind of surface from which to really appreciate that view shed to the north. The addition is really about that, the appreciation of the natural surroundings, able to enjoy that, being able to enjoy that, and also trying to be very sensitive both architecturally and with the typology of the existing house and its location, and it's, you know, less visible from the road where it's presently proposed. In addition to that, well, they would like to have a garage, something that they don't have right now. Their vehicles are left exposed to the elements. And because of the view shed, there's an interest in maintaining that garage closer to the road rather than complying with the 75-foot setback, which would place the garage right in the middle of that field.
Right.
That field is really, the whole house is almost designed around that view. So that's what we're saying. They're both, you know, spend a lot of time outdoors, and they really appreciate the landscape. And that's something that they want to capture.
I'd like to just say something about the field. Frank is absolutely right that seeing that field from our new house without having a garage right in the middle of the view is really important to us personally. But you all know where it is. And when you come down Jackson Corners Road, the view for the traveling public into that field is also really magnificent. So it's a view that goes both ways. And I feel that it's really important to keep that view shed open for everybody.
So, you know, concerning the setbacks, obviously the house is non-compliant. It has setbacks presently of 5 feet 2 inches and 10 feet 7 inches. You know, technically or legally, we could have built an addition that was equally non-compliant without exceeding it. Decided to put the addition behind the house, and even the new garage is more compliant in its setbacks than the existing house. The owners are, and obviously the garage could have been attached, but they like to walk, and they'd rather that the garage be a separate element. For them, that's about part about being outdoors and enjoying their landscape.
So you're talking about putting a new driveway
We're
in too?
looking at a new driveway. The Dutchess County, an engineer from Dutchess County Department of Transportation came out. We reviewed where cars are currently parked. And this area happens to have a natural break in the tree line there. And it's actually where this field is actually hay. So it is a part of the local agriculture. And that's where they bring farm implements in as well. So that seemed like he deemed it a safer location than the current one, which is very close to the bridge over the
Right on the
Mojang.
corner.
It happens to have
Dangerous.
both the
Very
curve
scary.
and the slope
Yeah,
and the retaining wall
yes.
of the house. And the visibility, it's quite dangerous
It is.
there in both directions.
Yeah, this would be a much better, yeah.
So, as I said before, they actually hay this field. So it is, in terms of it being in the agricultural district, it is in keeping with the activity that's currently taking place there. And again, the view sheds are super important. The other thing is, if you notice in the package with the photographs, you get a little bit further along onto page 4, you'll see where the neighboring buildings are also located very close to the road. And that's kind of typical. This is a historical precedent, which I kind of like when sometimes it almost creates a little village there.
Well,
And
yeah,
that-
the way Mount Ross is
it
set
used
up,
to be a
all of
village,
those, yeah.
And so it's very practical as well, because that's where people used to, have their barns and they'd unload and load in terms of access. It was more practical. But I would say also it's, you could consider that a more sustainable strategy as well, because you're limiting the amount of roadway. All this pathway you're going to see that we depicted here is going to be either, permeable pavers or some kind of vegetation, which is why we depicted it here. They want to limit the actual hard surface to the area right around the garage. And of course, the highway department requires an asphalt apron on that slope leading up But the rest is gonna be landscaped and have a very kind of organic and natural feel, and be accompanied by plantings, et cetera. I think, Jeff, anything else? Stephen, Lisa, have anything to add?
Well, just answer Dr. O'Neill's query. Vale Farm is in Gallup. That's right. Dutchess County Route 50. Yeah, I can see the angle. It's amazing. Goes into Gallup and then comes back out.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see with the way the line goes that it's a strange arrangement. Because I knew that Lloyd Vale never voted Pine Plains. No.
And the county line runs right through our property.
Yeah.
Right, but all the
It's
stuff
amazing,
that you're
really. So Buddy
proposing
Merriam is in
is in the Dutchess.
Pine Plains.
Yes,
He's in
the whole
Yes.
project.
The whole project.
The whole
Dutchess
project.
County.
It's the garage,
Okay.
everything, of course, we want to.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, oh, exactly.
So they're conscious of that, yeah.
Okay,
Half the field,
Actually,
the
the
northern
first,
half of the field is actually
Sure.
in Gallup.
in Gallatin, which would be,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's actually, yeah, it's, the first photograph kind of showed the blue line represents that county line. And we're gonna be well back, probably in the middle of the first triangular section there.
I think Buddy might be our only neighbor in
Yes.
250 foot.
Oh, boy.
Well, I've got- yeah, because
The other
it's,
neighbors, we do have neighbors that close, but
right,
they're,
yeah,
they're foreigners.
sure,
They're
sure.
over there.
And Carl Pop, is he still out there?
He doesn't live there. Carl owns the cornfield.
Oh, okay. And rents it to Vales.
And rents it to Vale.
Okay.
And he
Well-
owns the field directly across from our house.
Okay. And does he own the house that's on the left-hand side as you come down?
No.
We actually own that.
Oh,
That's a whole
That
complicated
little-
other
little-
story, little tiny.
Yeah.
is it the whole place?
So-
But he owns the barn right at the corner,
Gotcha. And the barn that they took down.
and the barn that they took down and moved.
I was looking today, I went by, I
schoolhouse,
couldn't
they
believe
took
how
that
fast
to the fairgrounds.
the little trees started growing
Oh,
in
yeah.
that foundation.
Yep.
They're already like this big.
Yeah, and it's been years since that one came down.
Doesn't seem like it.
I know.
It's been a weird year.
Right, and there was the little schoolhouse and there was the old barn.
I'm so glad they saved the old school.
Yeah,
Oh.
me too. Yeah. I tried when it left, but it's really good that.
It was either leave or fade away.
See it.
Yeah,
And the fair keeps it. in
Good
really
use.
condition.
yes.
And is this your primary residence?
It is
It is
now.
now.
It is now, okay. I'm just, the only
Congratulations.
reason I ask is because that's 140 feet from your front door to your garage, and if you've done winters here,
Oh, yeah.
that was my
Yeah,
only,
we've,
okay,
I used the house as a weekend house for 30 years.
okay,
And we've spent a lot of time here. We always come up in the winter.
Right.
Even when the electricity's out. I just think I love.
Oh,
the
sure.
winter here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
Good.
I mean, I think it's great that you're putting a garage, I just, that's, as long as you're
A
good with.
a
the-
lot of walking with
It's a
a
lot of
big
walking.
field blowing the wind right
I
at
know.
Well, there is the opportunity for us to drive over here if we need to.
It's a drop, it's more of a,
Okay,
we
but-
think of that as kind of a vegetated drive. It could have
Sure.
pavers which allow vegetation, and it's just a drop off area, basically.
Or the
Okay.
dogs.
It's really,
okay,
to have that
Those
convenience
pavers-
in a
And it's-
storm,
Great.
unload the groceries.
Yeah, something really more rural about having that
Yes.
extra building set away
Yeah.
from the
Mhm.
the main house.
Yeah.
Um,
well,
It
and
just
what you've
feels right to
done
us.
here certainly adds to the, like you say, you're not
Yeah.
gonna impede your views, you're gonna be able to, yeah, I think it makes sense.
All right, again, part of my job is also to move us along. We like to, do our little socialization and things,
Sorry.
but I do, I mean, as far as I can see there, I compliment you on the application. I think there is plenty of information here for us to see what is proposed and to see what we potentially have to look at. Is there anything that people see that they feel like they need some more information at this point?
I think we got all the information.
Yeah, and again, Drew, I'm presuming that you've looked at all this and you're not raising any issues at this point?
No, it's a very complete application.
Okay. And so then I think that if everybody is agreed with that, then we would go ahead and set a public hearing for, is it the
I
20?
forgot to flip the sheet here, I'm sorry. It's a whole nother sheet. So the elevations on here, and there's a roof plan, and just so there's additional, all 4 elevations of the garage and the street view of both the house and the garage.
Oh, Frank, I'm actually glad that you pointed that out. I was sort of neglecting looking
Yeah,
at
I'm
what
surprised I forgot.
we're
It
doing.
has the, some dimensions there as well.
So what's the 4th Tuesday?
February 22nd.
February 22nd. Does that seem to work for? Then we're, we're gonna get a quorum here.
Yeah.
So I would propose that we have a site inspection is 4:30 or 5, I mean.
Well, it should be later, but we don't know. I mean.
The 4:30 was fine for me, but
Yeah.
I'm a retired old guy. I can do
I
most
can do
anytime.
4:30.
We're still talking February?
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'll pick you up.
Okay.
actually, it was tight for you with the bus, right?
Well, I pick them
Yeah.
up at 4:30
She
and
picks me up with the bus.
so we'll be
Okay.
there like 4:35, 4:40.
Okay,
And then we'll do the 7:30 again.
yep. And a public hearing at 7:30.
And I'm just curious. Actually, don't know about the 250, but the people who are in Columbia County are our neighbors as well. So do they get notices or?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Does Drew know?
They certainly would about a project,
I would
right?
think so.
Across city lines.
I would think so. Right.
They certainly did up at Durst.
Yeah, I would think that, part of our job is to protect all the neighbors. It doesn't, our concerns don't end necessarily at the county line.
Drew, did you hear that?
Yeah, no, I heard that. I agree with Scott. I don't see any reason why the county line would come into play. The zoning law says to contact neighbors within a certain distance. Doesn't say anything about, where they live. One more thing, Scott, you're gonna ask the applicant to stake out the garage so you have an idea where it's going to be.
Oh, yeah, yep. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah,
Take out the,
it would be helpful for us.
you can stake
for the
out where the
site,
yeah.
site's gonna
So we
be,
can
so we
see
can
where
get a
it's-
visual while we're there.
Yeah.
That's
It makes a
helpful.
lot of sense.
Assuming the
Right.
snow isn't there.
Exactly.
We'll bring our snowshoes.
Date of
February
the
22nd.
4th Tuesday.
22nd.
February.
And we'll hope there's not a blizzard, but these people go through storm of night and all that stuff. Yeah. They're as good as the post office, maybe better.
Well, thank you very much for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you all too.
How many copies would you need of these? I have.
The one, just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got these. This is
We've
perfect.
got these.
Yeah, well, we got one big one for you, for Trish. Yeah. I'll just put it in the front. Yeah. Yeah, 25.
So Frank, how are you related to Sally and Mike?
Oh, they're good friends of mine. No, they're my parents.
Oh, man, you're making me feel old. Because I worked with your mother on the planning board. This is our next application,
Oh, good,
which,
because the word, you said it was so small on the computer, I couldn't get them big enough to see what I was doing. This is down. on
Steve, we have to
Drive.
talk at some point.
Yes, other matters.
Yep,
Yes.
other matters.
Yes.
Good
I
to see
sent a
you.
note, to Jim this morning.
Good, good.
But yeah,
No, Doug is the architect,
Aha.
okay, so
Gotcha,
he's representing
Oh,
the
gotcha.
Morrisons.
okay, am I up?
Yeah,
Shut her up.
we're all turning around here, Doug, the way the
Oh.
camera's.
Oh, sorry about that.
I actually have to turn and look and be over my shoulder here.
Well, thanks for the Zoom option. It's saved me a little time today. I'm Doug Larson. I'm an architect, and I'm representing Nan Morrison, who recently purchased a property on Twin Island Lake. So she's on Cedar Drive, which is a very short little zigzaggy road. So there's almost just 3 houses on the road. The house needs a renovation, which we're working on, but she would like to put a pool in. So, and she doesn't really want to put it on the lakeside because she feels it's a disruption to the lake, and the DEC setback is very close to the house. So we would have to go to the state if she were to put the pool in the rear yard. So she'd like to put it in the front yard. It's a very sort of private front yard with a lot of pine trees. And there's really not aware of the neighbors, just the road going by, which is barely traveled, except by one person who lives at the end. Sorry about the sirens. So I can share screen and show you some pictures if you'd like. Can you see the screen if I share? Okay. Okay, let's see. I'll just show you the lot here. So you can see this from parcel access.
Yes.
This is Lakeshore Drive right here, which there's many more houses. Here's Cedar Drive. It goes off in this little zigzag. And this is the parcel here she purchased. It's outlined in yellow. The house is here. These parcel access lot lines are not particularly accurate. The shore of the lake is way out here. And this is her dock. And there's sort of a bluff here. But the DEC setback kind of goes right in front of the house here. So she's got this very large front yard, which is it's got a turnaround driveway and some trees. So I can show you some pictures of what that looks like. Here we go. Okay, so here's the front of the house, sort of at the end of a long driveway. I can show you a plan in a minute. The driveway comes and makes a loop around this telephone pole. Front door is here. And here's a row of pine trees, which are on the lot line. I have another picture here, which gives you a better idea, I think. I think I can move to a different picture. Here's the back of the house. Can you see that with the person standing there with holding the pad? So this
We're
is,
still in the front.
Same picture.
oh, you're still in the front? All right, so I have to stop the share then and reshare. Okay, so this is standing with your back to the bluff,
Okay.
looking at the back elevation of the house. And the person here with the pad is pretty much standing right on the DEC setback line.
Okay.
So she would like to put the pool over here where the cars are parked. There's a shed here that's right on the lot line, but there's a long expanse here of private front yard. So that's her reasoning. I'll share the drawing with you so you can see the drawing, but I think you have that drawing.
Yeah, we've got the big one.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Margot probably didn't see it. Oh, that's true. Margot needs it. You're right. Sorry. I keep forgetting she's not here.
So it's a little tricky because the house is already built too close to the lot line. It's non-conforming. It's the little garage lean-to she has is 4'6" off the lot line. And we need to sum to 30. So we've got to add the deficient side setback onto the other side, which would give us a pretty large side setback. Her septic is here. She'd be within the right of way of the electric lines. So we're asking for the normal side setback, which is about 15 feet. And then, so we need relief from the side setback to put it here because of this non-conforming setback on the east. And then the zoning code is also pretty clear that it doesn't allow a pool in the front yard. It doesn't say required front yard. It says front yard. So required front yard is much smaller than the front yard. And the definition of front yard is the land between the facade of the house and the road. So, so we need relief from those two things, side setback and putting a pool in the front yard. So this, I know this is an introductory meeting and we need, have to answer your questions, and we also have to come back, if we move on to the next stage, and we can, happy to have you go visit and bring any other supporting information. She just didn't want to put it, here's the DEC setback, you can see right here. Didn't want to put it on the lake side. You can see how long the front yard is here.
Do you know if she's talked to any of her neighbors, how they would feel? I mean, that's a long, narrow lot.
Yeah, it's very
So
long.
I'm just wondering.
Well, she's good friends with Holly, so she's spoken to Holly. But I don't know how, if she knows the people on the other side, but I don't know if she's spoken to them yet.
Yeah.
But it's always good. It's always good to be neighborly and talk to your neighbors about it.
Well,
I knew that I knew this was going to require several steps, so this was our first step.
Yeah. I think that because the next step would be that we would go ahead and again, I think that there appears to be enough information for me to proceed at this point. It would be good to just show us what the proposed equipment shed is going to look like.
Okay. I think it's going to kind of look like the shed that's there, only slightly bigger. So we can sketch something for that. And I would imagine you might want the pool staked.
And yes, we definitely need the pool staked. And as long as you're staking that, the approximate location of the shed also.
I should mention that she wants to use the pool for exercise. It's not really a lounging pool. So it's
The pool is only 10 feet wide according to the drawing.
a lap pool, a very narrow lap pool, yeah.
75 feet long. Yep. Is the proposed
75
new
feet
shed,
long.
Doug,
That's
going
long.
where the old shed is?
No, the old shed is right on the lot line.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I mean, the
Okay.
zoning code requires 8 feet, so it's a pre-existing nonconformity, but we realize we can't do that. We can't keep that.
Okay. Yeah, we'd have to see it state that, but it makes sense putting it over here as opposed to putting it back there, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to be messing with the lake. Is that utility pole staying where it is?
We just started talking to electricians and the electric company about burying it, maybe.
Yeah,
It's
it's kind of an odd spot for it.
yeah, I know. It's awkward. And it cuts right across her property, but powers other people on the street. It's right outside the front door.
Variance is for the side yard setback, correct? Or is this still considered front?
This is considered front because this is the front of the
Yeah,
house.
so
But the front yard setback only has to
It's
be
not the
15
setback,
feet
it's the
from the.
fact that you're not allowed to have a pool.
You're not allowed to have a
In the,
pool.
in the front yard. So it's both, so it's two separate issues. Or is it
Exactly.
just one? Do we need the variance for two?
Yes, you just said yes, you need it for both.
yeah, the one thing I don't know, Drew, if you thought about this. So obviously the side yard setback is an area variance. So, but if you are
Swimming pool in the front yard.
changing,
Is that a use variance?
from saying that there's just no pool in the front yard, is that really still an area variance?
Is that a bulk? I don't know if that's a bulk regulation or a use.
I just haven't thought about it, and I'm glad that that you raised the question.
Yeah.
Probably depends on which section of the code it's in. I have to flip through the code to find.
Yeah, we don't like to find complications, but they find us.
Would that change the procedure or is it pretty much the same procedure?
Well, it could, yeah.
But how would it change the
Yeah.
procedure? I mean, if the first question is, are we, like you said, are we determining that we're gonna look at having the pool in the front yard? Does that supersede the other? I don't know.
Yeah, the side, yeah. The side, I
Scott?
mean,
Can I interrupt for a second? Are you thinking possibly area variance or use variance?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. You're not really changing the use of the property. You know, it's a residential use and it's a sort of an accessory use to a residential property, so but I'm still trying to figure, again, the zoning board of appeals has broad power, particularly when it comes to dimensional
My
stuff.
suggestion is if you look at the requirements for a use variance,
Yep,
this wouldn't even begin to fit. They they ask a lot about, would the property be financially viable without the issuance of a variance? And I think the questions are going to lead you away from it actually. And lead you back to area variance.
all right, well, I never like to get Warren involved, but I don't know, I'll think about it for a while and maybe we
Okay.
may have to ask the question or just decide that we still consider this all within the bounds of area variance.
Understood.
So do we move forward with a site visit?
Yeah, I think that we can move forward with a site visit.
So is it your habit to go the day of the next meeting before the next meeting or?
Yeah.
So it would be just like the applicant before us would be on
Right.
February, what, 20?
Like 5 o'clock.
Or
Or earlier, because we'll have to be there at 4:30, so we'll have to,
Well, there's
Yeah.
it's sort of on the way to Mount Ross Road.
yeah. That's right.
Everywhere. it is.
Everywhere is.
So that would be February 22nd. Would you need anyone there or would you rather, you like to be there on your own? So you can speak freely.
Whatever the applicant would like to do, I think what's most important for us is to just have it clearly staked.
Okay,
So we can see what's going on. Going ahead with Melissa's too then.
Well, let me see how soon I can get, how much time before you need to send the notices?
I mean, I can wait like a week. I can, start preparing them and
Right.
not
send
wait to
them.
send them out till I hear from you.
All right, well, let me just try to look through more clearly the regulations and see if I'm comfortable. If I'm not, I guess I can always send an email to Warren.
Okay.
And if it looks like that there's complications, we'll let everybody know. We'll let the applicant know and try to figure out the process is.
I think the owner would like to prepare her neighbors before they just get the mailing from the town. So I think that's a nice thing to do. So is that list available? I'm not sure how we get that list. of
Yeah,
the
it's
neighbors,
basically the same address that you'll pull off of parcel access.
Right?
And it's within, is it 500 feet?
250.
250.
Any parcel within 250 feet.
Okay, and I think there's a button on parcel access to list those people. Right?
Yes.
I think there's a function on parcel access that actually gives you those.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll,
Right?
Yeah, that works.
so if we were to proceed, you would mail the official mailings. When would the official mailing go out?
Yeah, but what would be the latest that they would be mailed?
25, so I guess, I mean, it depends what the mails be, but,
Yeah.
there's, I mean, I would
Like
guess.
the 10th or something like that?
Yeah, probably maybe up to the latest.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, probably the latest we
Yeah, we
that-
have
I
to
would
late
say
it, so,
Yeah, just to ensure that they get there.
um,
I would say the 8th.
Yeah.
That's Monday.
maybe your
anything
client
Monday.
should plan on that, that our notices would go out the 5th or 6th, right?
Yeah, well, the 5th is a Saturday.
Yeah.
March 5th is a Saturday. So, well, March, if
February.
you went out on Friday the 4th,
Yeah,
that would give you,
yeah, I mean, Madeline sends them, so if I give them Madeline, whatever.
well, it'd be a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, I
Unless-
think if I give Madeline by next Friday.
That gives you enough time to research.
Yeah,
It falls
Oh,
into
yeah.
warrant sometimes too.
Right.
I mean, the other thing, Doug, again, I don't know how anxious your time frame is. If she would like more time to talk to the neighbors, put it off till March. I mean, you're not gonna be putting a swimming pool in over the winter.
no, I know, and all the pool people are busy for like 9 months, so. Yeah, I mean, we're doing our homework early here, so.
And then we don't have 2 site visits and 2 public hearings on the same day.
'Cause I suspect
And what,
that's-
just could you prepare me for what comes after the public hearing? Is that the meeting when you debate and vote? Is there another meeting after that we would come to for final
Now,
decision?
usually, I don't think you tuned in for the last one, but so our general procedures, particularly with the area variances, which generally aren't that complicated, unless neighbors come out of the woodwork and with a bunch of concerns, that can delay us, but that seldom happens. I would say that at least 90 to 95% of the time, I come with a draft resolution, which we review immediately after the public hearing, and there's usually an approval within 25 minutes.
Okay, that sounds good. So it's possible we could skip a
So
meeting.
you could put it off to March and you'd probably still, as long as there were no further complications, generally you would have an approval that same March meeting.
Okay, so let me discuss that with her while you're doing your research, and maybe we can.
That would give her 5 or 6 weeks to try to run into the neighbors or talk to them instead of just a week.
Okay,
And just knowing who some of those neighbors are, Doug, I would suspect that if we were gonna have any issues, this would be the application we would have issues with. So I think it's probably better to do it your way, to talk to them ahead of time before our notice.
This way they might find out whatever problems
Yeah.
are there rather than us
Right.
digging into it.
And they may have concerns we're not even
Right.
taking into
Right.
account. So,
yeah, there's a lot of people looking at each other on that lake, I know.
yep. Especially that little nooking corner down there. So,
All right, so you'll check with Warren on whether we're following the right procedure, and I'll check with the client on time for notification. And it sounds like we should skip a meeting and come to the March meeting, just to allow you to have the public hearing. But she may not want to, so I'm gonna check with her first. That's all right.
All right, well, just let Trish know whether you want to go for a public hearing in February or if you would rather postpone it till March.
Okay. All right, we'll get back with you right away on that.
That property borders one big.
What else we got? Just have to approve minutes, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Thanks,
I
Doug.
have them in-
Thank you, everybody.
All
Thanks,
right,
Doug.
thank you, Doug.
This side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
What was your question, Doug? Or Mike?
I know that
You're saying this
Carl,
property on this side
Carl,
just
there's a
bought- what just sold.
big expensive piece of property that he sold for $1 million. Carl Chinobria, I think his name was, because he wanted to buy the piece that I
That's
own
how I found out.
that Holly bought.
Mhm.
So he may, whoever bought it may have some interest.
Okay, there was,
Holly would be the one that would raise more interest than anybody.
Yes, well, that's what I'm thinking.
Is this part of, was it Twyla, Twin Island,
Yes.
Lake, so it's homeowners
Yes.
association?
Yes.
They're
Right.
notorious.
She actually borders the lake, so her property runs right along where
Yes.
Holly bought Ray Reed's piece. So she owns 2 homes
She
there.
owns 2 there, yep. Her and her mom,
Yeah.
It's gonna show.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's on this side of this one. This person, I suspect, could be.
Yeah, I think that's the big home that's, when you first turn in, the
There's
first
one
house on.
between that. There's the
there's-
big one.
yeah,
When you
there's one
come up
between.
Cedar Drive, that was Cinnabori's house.
Yes,
That
Cinnabon,
one.
that's right.
Then there's another one and then this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
The
that,
Moriarty's had the ones after him.
After, yep.
Okay, our only other item is approval of the minutes of December. There was a copy floating around here if you hadn't had a chance to look at them and need to take a second.
that wasn't.
I wasn't here.
They weren't here. It was just us. So I mean, we're good.
You approved it. You wrote it.
Margot's gotta make it because we were together.
All right.
Margot
She's
gave
thumb up in you.
Yes,
All right.
thumb up.
I was fine.
Yep, and I'm good with them.
All right, so I'll take that as a motion and the other one was a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? I hear none.